Okay, I had to take a little walk with Isabel because I was so empowered by the major arcana of this deck. Now, I'm going to, I always show the aces like this, but I'm actually going to go through the deck this way because there are things that go across all of the aces, the twos, the threes, the fours, the fives, that tie them together that I think it'd be doing a disservice not to look at them that way. So you can see in most of these aces, some similarities that ties them together. We have a symbol on the stomach of each of, I believe these are supposed to be cherubs. These are definitely not my idea of cherubs, which I'm happy with not having the little fat cherubs. We definitely have hermaphrodite. We have breasts as well as male genitalia on those two at least. And it appears to be this one as well. And you can't really see anything on this one, but I would assume since the rest of them there are. When we start with the Ace of Wands here, we have, actually let me put these in the right order. You can see that two of them have the head of an animal. You can't really see his head, but so I don't know, and this one is absolutely stunning. So here we have the Ace of Wands, which has the hawk wings and a heart of a lion. Let me see if it tells you what the symbol is on its stomach. It doesn't address them directly that I can see. Again, I haven't read through the whole deck, but see, like you have a labyrinth here. You have these gorgeous symbols that are just stunning. But this is fire. This is the yang energy. It talks about all this kinds of things. And again, we have the hawk wings of the sun and the heart of a lion. We have a quote from Joseph Campbell, "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are," which is gorgeous. Here we have the Ace of Swords, which is an eagle, the symbol of Scorpio. The autumnal equinox, air, the eagle and Scorpio are symbols for the evolution of mankind, evolution of our soul, and so on and so forth. I mean, there is just a lot of information here. I love the Ace of Cups. This is the angel, constellation Aquarius in the winter solstice, element of water, and the pure wings of a dove. It's yin, internal and soft energy. And then we, of course, have the Ace of Discs, who has the labyrinth. I've always been fascinated with labyrinths, so they jump out at me. And here's a quote from Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces, which I think is the first Joseph Campbell book that I read. "The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We have only to follow the thread of the hero path. And where we had thought to find an abomination, we shall find a god. Where we had thought to slay another, we shall slay ourselves. Where we had thought to travel outward, we shall come to the center of our own existence. Where we had thought to be alone, we shall be with all the world." So amazing. Because normally you will see like a horned minotaur in the center of the labyrinth. So there is much going on here. She did not stint. So like here is the Ace of Discs. There is 1, 2, and a bit. She did not stint at all on the aces, and that I can see in any of the minor arcana. So that is amazing. So let's, excuse me. Let's go to the, I love this card. Oh, do I love this card. I wish she had given a little synopsis on the twos, like before going into the twos. It would have been nice for her to have a little bit of a discussion about the twos. But, you know, the Two of Wands, generally you're going through a passageway. Two trees don't make a forest, she says, but they make an excellent door. In the universe, there are things that are known and things that are unknown, and in between there are doors. William Blake. I mean, come on. Two of Cups. Oops, I'm sorry. Two of Swords. We have So this has the Two of Swords as consider your thoughts and words carefully and with purpose. Name your challenge and desire. Clear obstacles and conflicts. Knowledge of good and evil from your lips to God's ears. This is definitely one I'll have to sit with. It's not the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith idea of the Two of Swords. Here we have the Two of Cups, the Rose and the Lily. The wands are the spine, the swords breathing lungs, the disc the body, and the Two of Cups is the heart beating and bleeding, it talks about. Union, partnership, soulmate, heart, love. This is kind of similar. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart, said Buddha. Interesting. These two horses are ripples in the water that arise from our thoughts, actions, and love. They go out and they come back. It's just beautiful. And I know this is... One eye is the sun and looks out, and one eye is the moon and looks within. Between them, a veil of flesh separating the face of matter, the Shekinah or the throne of God, our body, everything's body. The Two of Discs, it talks about imaginary troubles, emotions, upsets, and awkwardness. Or that's the traditional meanings. She talking about right vision, right view, seeing things correctly, choose how you want them to be and envision them. It's about speaking things. This is about seeing things, so that's interesting. I always have thought that this Three of Wands is quite an interesting, look at that. The Three of Wands calls down the creative gaze and grace of God. It is the third pillar in the Kabbalistic tree of life, the pillar of mildness, which reconciles the pillars of mercy and severity. Interesting. Make a clear space for the reality you desire. Support what you desire with thought, action, and words. There's definitely a lot about, this is another one of the cards that I would be sitting with because, excuse me, and not in a negative way, but in a positive way of needing to kind of set with the energy and figure out how this relates. I think it's a very powerful image. And what it talks about, the idea of the third pillar being mildness after reconciling mercy and severity. I think that's quite interesting. I get a very much sort of like egg and sperm feel here. You certainly have, it does talk about the coming together of the male and the female. Excuse me. So this is one that I need to sit with longer because I think there's much power here, but because it's not traditional Rider-Waite, I need to sit with it a little bit. So then we have the gorgeous Three of Swords, which talks about a dove that is a symbol of love who's kind of descending into the flesh, and he carries the arrows of the sun's light. So we don't have a traditional where you're being stabbed, which is normally separation and absence, whereas in this one the keywords are accepting divine gifts and energy, accepting a divine soul. The agent that wounded your heart was a divine gift to begin with. So that's something I also will have to set with, although I do agree in the terms of that sense of, you know, we learn from our most horrible experiences. It has the reverse of this as being suffering, broken heart, sadness, and sorrow, which is what we traditionally see upright. So I think that that's interesting to point out as well. Here we have the Three of Cups with three gorgeous waterfalls going on here. It talks about, you know, it gives you the whole idea of one of Aesop's fables where there is a raven. It goes on to talk about that. But it has keywords of remembering that everything is equal and good and shares the same source. Cups overflowing. So there is that sort of coming from one source but splitting off into many that's all from the same source. Fall from grace, fall to earth so that we can find love, it says. And then we have the Three of Discs, which is gorgeous. It has a German proverb, and it says it in German, which I'm not going to try to say. No master craftsman ever just fell from the sky, showing you have to, obviously work very hard. Creating something with your own hard work, your own body, your own flesh. And so, of course, we have a scene of birth. I mean, that is, having given birth, I can say that is something that is very, very hard work, and a giving of yourself. But that can relate to any type of work as well, in terms of how we traditionally would see the Three of Discs. This. I have a little stack of ones I want to set with a little longer. Here we have the gorgeous Four of Wands. I just love this. To the elements it came from, everything will return. Our bodies to earth, our blood to water, heat to fire, breath to air. So he talks about how we had an innocent babe in the Three of Discs. The Three of Wands, libido, sex drive, desire, passion, creativity. Ground your creative energy into physical transformation, that sense of the tree being rooted. But it's like we're looking up through the branches of a fiery tree, and kind of looking up. We're grounded, but the fire is there, and it's going to burn away the old and bring about the new. So very, very much a powerful creative energy drive there that you don't often see in the Four of Wands. Beautiful. I love this Four of Swords. Interesting image here. That she says, the more I work on and know the language of symbols found within tarot, the more I find solid definition to be limiting, and reality it is much more fluid and vast. It says, thoughts take root, words have wings, sex, impregnation, consummation of a union, plant a seed, growth in solitude, safe retreat, body of knowledge. So we do have that sense of a safe retreat. I'm going to have to sit, this is what I'm going to have to sit with. I love it. It has it triggers a feeling in me. I think it's one of those things that you have to let go of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, because this is not based just on the Rider-Waite-Smith. So this would be one that I need to set with a little bit further, because it's so different than what you do definitely can read it traditional as kind of taking a step back. And retreating, but it's interesting because we almost have like factory smokestacks in the background. So I'll definitely need to, and just kind of skimming the guidebook, I'm not seeing anything just really popping out that says, oh yes, I get that. So I will have to sit with that a little bit further, which I'm okay with having to do a little work. I knew I would want to read this book from cover to cover, and I will certainly be doing that, and I will be coming back and kind of addressing the deck after I work with it a little while, as well as work with the book a little while. But here we have the beautiful Four of Cups, which I think is gorgeous. It talks about slowly working on a problem, proceed, work, move forward, create what you want. Message from the subconscious in the form of dreams, emotions, intuitive, and perception. So that's quite interesting. We have the water, obviously. We have the shell, which kind of talks to me about messages, kind of picking up the seashell and listening for the messages. That comes across to me quite strongly. So that's interesting. And then we have the Four of Discs here. It talks about the Four of Earth being earth in earth, stability, power, perfection, strength, perfect harmony between all. So she really seems to be going, settle, balance, and harmonize your mundane life, taking care of physical things. So she really seems to me to take the fours a lot more the way that I tend to see, because number four is a stabilizing number. It's a foundational number. It's a strong number. And so I've always been a little uneasy with the more inherent stagnation, but I think anything taken extreme, when you take foundation in the extreme, it can be stagnation. So I still think you can get there, but this seems to me to focus on more of the energy of the numerological idea of the number 4, and so I do quite appreciate that. So then we come to the 5s. Now the 5s obviously generally always get a little bit of a bad rap in terms of being about conflict. And this is another reason that I do wish that she had gone into a little bit of discussion about the 5s, because she does have everything split off numerologically like this. And so I feel like, you know, she could have gone and given a little bit of an idea of how she viewed the 5s, so to speak, or viewed, you know, each of the number sets, so that you could kind of see where she was coming from in an even better way. So here we have the 5 of Wands, and this is about strength in strength in opposition, about persevering through opposition. So I quite like that, because we do have the movement aspect. We do have this movement that's going on, and we have the underlying understanding that there is opposition going on, but the key, the focus is about the strength during that opposition. Now, again, the reversed meanings have more of that idea of war and violence that we think of with the Rider-Waite-Smith 5s. So this does slightly tempt me to consider that this may be a deck in which I would use reversals, because of how I'm kind of seeing the reversals working, and I will have to think about that a little bit further. In the 5 of, oh, I missed the 5. What did I do with the 5? Oh, I went a little too far. So here we have the gorgeous 5 of Cups. Or I'm sorry, 5 of Swords. Now, of course, again, the 5 of Swords, and this is where it's really helpful, because in the book, she gives the traditional divinatory meaning: prejudice, attack on the fortune of a querent, defamation, dishonor. But then the keywords are more to do with the card itself, so you can actually start to see how she may differentiate between these. And so for this, work through the pain and suffering, illness and depression, or whatever it is afflicting you, you must keep going. So the upright actually has a more positive, how am I going to deal with a particular difficult situation? The reverse has more of that traditional harsh words, pain, stress, difficulty. You see what I mean? So that makes me inclined to think about using reversals with this particular deck. That's a gorgeous card. Then we have the 5 of Cups. And it says that the pure white horse is the opposite of the lion in the 5 of Wands, who guards the phallic forest. He is a symbol of compassion, purity, and self-sacrifice. So we have that sort of matching there of the lion and the horse. This is about the guarded heart. So isn't that interesting? Because cups are about emotions, right? About love, emotions, and our relationship. And the 5 of Cups is about the guarded heart. This is a heart that's been wounded, and so it's guarding itself. But Chiron is laying his body over you for protection. Release your pain and need for forgiveness to the heart at the center of the universe. I mean, it's just amazing how, because here we have the astrological sign for Chiron. And so I really pay attention to people's, where Chiron is in their birth charts, because that's the wounded healer. And she goes into the mythology of that. But how gorgeous is the 5 of Cups as being a wounded heart, and needing of being guarded and protected. I think that's gorgeous. Here we have the 5 of Discs. Heaven is in the breast, it says. Eternity is now. This man is the opposite of the Fool, it says, and he has fully descended into the flesh. Because if you remember, and I have them kind of mixed in, but he is completely air. He's still in the process of transformation with all the butterflies. This is a very rooted and grounded and earth male, very much descended into the earth, as they said, as she writes. The Four of Discs is an external paradise, all of the bounty and abundance and beauty of earth. There's a monastery there and the soul can be fed. But you can see that he's pointing, so he is all earth, right? He is very grounded, very earthy, almost looks like carved from marble. We have the leaf here, the long, long hair flowing. So he's very solid, but he's pointing into his heart. And so this talks about it being very internal. It is a paradise. It is heaven that we find within ourselves. So that's so interesting. This is about being grounded, centered, and looking for the answers within. Reversed is looking wrongly outside for the answer. Isn't that quite interesting? So I know I have to keep going. It's just so amazing. It really is. Okay, now I've got these all whoppajawed. So now we're going to come to the sixes. This is representing the Archangel Michael, whose name means like, who is like God or like unto God. He is the warrior that commands the armies of God. His fire and life force interact with things directly. Talks about slaying your dragons, conquering your demons, be direct, be forceful, do what is right, stand on the side of right. I mean, how gorgeous is that? The Six of Swords shows the Archangel Raphael, which is the healer or the physician of God. And you can see, he's comforting and kind of putting his arms around. Normally you'd see somebody taking somebody away in a boat. So he is actually kind of shepherding these children, which is wonderful. Divine protection, guidance, and healing, building bridges and connections. And so the other way around is about feeling alone, because obviously they are not alone. So it's just gorgeous. Here we have the Six of Cups, which is the Archangel Uriel, which means light of God. Here Uriel has the claws of a lobster, just like the one rising in the traditional moon card. So you can see his hands are lobster claws. Because it is us and our potential rising from the mud at the bottom of the ocean or the lake and out into the air. This mirrors the evolution from salty sea and our journey from the womb too, as we evolve and rise from water onto land, into life, and into humanity. This is about inspiration, creativity, and the arts. The key to the other worlds is an open heart, it says. Be true to yourself, see how unique you are, rise to the occasion, being set free. I mean, gorgeous Six of Discs. We have Gabriel here, which means the strength of God. He is the herald of God's manifestation. So it's about perfect manifestation, writing, dreams and visions, childbirth, perfect balance, orgasm even. Don't doubt you are made for this. Reversed, it can be Pandora's box. Traditional meaning is its present moment, suddenly, instantly, today. These are just gorgeous cards. I am so excited to be working with this. Now, I love the sevens in this deck, because we have Odin's ravens represented, although you can't really see it so much in here. But you have, what's interesting is that the Seven of Wands, she says, is inspired by the white horse in the chariot, whereas the Seven of Cups is the dark horse of the chariot. So that's quite interesting. This is the allegory of the human soul and describes the human soul as having three parts: a white horse, a black horse, and a charioteer that used reason to control and balance the two horses or opposing energies. These two horses, the black and the white, are akin to the black and white towers found within the iconography of the tower, concept of duality. Plato describes the white horse as goodness, morality, valor, the will of the soul, the hero, being the master of your higher self. Whereas when you go to the black horse, is the subconscious, the dark place inside us, the moon, the eye that looks within. You can even see the moon here. We can see it looking down and within versus looking outward. I mean, it's just gorgeous. This is a shadow. This is the shadow self, the dark side. It's just, these are just stunning. I know I kind of skipped between the two, but those kind of go together. And then in the Seven of Swords, which is gorgeous, the raven steals the sun here. In the beginning, the world was in total darkness. Raven, who had existed, it goes on and does this whole thing about this. This is Prometheus stealing fire from the gods, or the raven stealing the sun and giving it to man. It's about innovation, transfer of power, transfer of knowledge, reason, mental strength, free will. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So it is about stealing like we see with the Seven of Swords. But again, as I never really saw the seven, I see the Seven of Swords as taking a risk, not as being about thievery, as how I've always seen this. You know, that's my reconciliation with the Seven of Swords. And so here we have that same sense. We have stealing fire from the gods to bring it down to man, stealing the sun to, you know, bring it to man. So there is that idea of taking something, but taking that risk because it's going to have amazing rewards to doing so. And then we have the Seven of, and I know I've got these mixed up, but this is Moonin, which is memory. And so you have, which is also supposed to be the chariot itself. So we have the black and the white chariots. We have the Seven of Discs, which is kind of, this is going to be relating to the chariot itself, but it is also one of the ravens of Odin, and this would be the other raven, Hunin. So you know, you have these amazing connections, and then across it you have the chariot doing it. And why this is sort of, okay, what are they going to do? So you've got your chariot and your black and your white horse. What are they going to do? They're going to go steal from the gods to bring down to man. So that's an interesting story that comes across all four of the cards, you know, on top of the layers of just, you know, the basic regular meanings. Oops, I got the discs upside down. So then we come to the eights. We have this gorgeous Eight of Wands. Something unknown or forgotten about yourself awakening, because we have this sleeping child in the arms of this dragon, fire, like a lion or tiger. I don't know why. It's like it's got the wings too here. Yeah, I have to keep moving because this is going to get ridiculous. But it's, you just have to get this deck and read the book. Can we just say that? The Eight of Swords I love because you have the Eight of Swords and being blocked, but it's about opening the gate. So there is an unsolved problem, fear, grief, suffering, that needs to, you know, you need to be able to open the gate and get out. So there is a way out. You just have to figure out how to get the gate open, so to speak. It's gorgeous. And look at this Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is beautiful. It says here, Hercules' lion skin is draped over a young and innocent child to symbolize that strength or fortitude is due to an open heart and a lack of bitterness. The Eight is a mirror and the outside world reflects. The Eight is a mirror and the outside world reflects to the inside world. Stay pure and clean, cloak yourself with righteousness or justness, having an open heart, having lack of bitterness. The Eight of Discs, look at that. It's the sun, is the sun into the vulnerable mouth of the immortal lion, to the very center of our physical self. We swallowed the sun, and there it sits, a lamb. This is the mercy seat upon the Ark of the Covenant, flanked by two flaming and blazing seraphims. And it goes on. Interesting. This is about the Holy Grail. This is the heart, the divine spark. This is self-sacrifice. Interesting, gorgeous imagery there. I know. There's just no way to do this quickly. I don't even know. Obviously, this is going to be two parts. I just don't even know. Moving to the nines, we have the Nine of Wands, the flame in the Hermit's... Oops. Yeah, this is the flame in the Hermit's lamp. He is not tame. It is bold. It is brilliant. This is the power of your creative energy. And the woman is free will who is awakened to herself and now directs and channels the massive wild tigerness of her subconscious to manifest her destiny. I mean, really? What am I supposed to do with all this? Here we have an absolutely gorgeous Nine of Swords. She says that this was the last card she painted for this tarot, and says if the nines are arranged in a cross of their respective elements, the Nine of Wands goes to the right and is the white pillar on the tree of life. The Nine of Cups goes to the left and is the black pillar of the tree of life. The Nine of Discs goes on the bottom and is earth on the bottom of the tree of life. And the Nine of Swords is on the top and is the golden pillar which lies between the two. Very interesting. There, so you can see the pillars here. We have the pillars here, and then this is the flame. So it's just the numbers groupings do have interconnections between them, and so when she puts them in the book, she puts them in their numbered connections. You know, it's set out just like this. You get the Nine of Wands, Swords, Cups, this, then you get the 10 Swords, Cups, this. Is how she goes through it in the book, and I think that is, even though traditionally I don't like them to be in that way, I think you almost need it to be in this particular deck because everything is sort of interconnected here in a way that is very important to kind of learn those connections, and so she has them done that way. But this is about your dreams coming true, enlightenment, very different than the normal Nine of Swords. But when it's reversed, it is death, and the inability to see beyond the veil, and this kind of thing. It's very much that negative sense that we think of the Nine of Swords. Then we have the very interesting Nine of Cups. The baboon is an aspect of Thoth. Does it seem strange to have the god of science, math, and measurement as the main character in a cup card? Yes. She said she has radically changed her view of cups or the element of water over the years. She still thinks that the cups are about emotions, relationships, and the like, but those are the surface ripples of a deep well of truth and knowledge. Emotions are a language that our subconscious uses to motivate us, to prod us, to communicate with us. That knowledge is the knowledge of our entire ancestry. So I think that is quite interesting. She goes into all the details about what we're seeing here in this card, but this is about accepting who, what, where you are with compassion, love, amazement, and humor. So yeah, you just have to read the book. The Crucible of Reconciled Halves is what they call this. We can see there are 3 faces here. This is Baphomet. This is a re-envisioning of a image of Baphomet by Eliphas Levi. She said she was brought back to a statement by Joseph Campbell, one of her heroes, that if you cross the threshold but are not ready, gods will appear as devils. How interesting is that? Now, that's very interesting. I quite agree with that. That if you go dig deep into the water or jump into the abyss and you're not prepared for it, you're not ready for it, then you're going to see devils instead of gods. That's really an amazing thing, and it's a very strong lesson that I had to learn. She goes into quite a lot of information about this card, but it's about reconciling halves, it's about alchemy, it's about perfect balance of all elements. Flipping it upside down, you have the reverse of injustice, gross injustice, bad chemistry, you know, things not being reconciled. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. Look at that 10 of Wands. Look at the 10 of Swords. Look at the 10 of Cups and of Discs. Look. All right, all right, all right. 10 of Wands. If you get this card, ride the white horse, rise above everything, see the world from a divine perspective. So we definitely get throughout this deck the symbolisms of the black and white, of the two towers, of the opposing, of duality. You know, there's a very strong message of just in this first run through of that duality that is quite beautifully seen, because then now we see in the 10 of Discs, we have the black horse. So here we have a minotaur. But at the end of the suit of discs, he has escaped the maze and climbed the mountain. Because remember, at the beginning, we had the minotaur and we had the maze in the ace. We had the maze, the labyrinth there. Well, now the minotaur is up and out. The 10 completes the cycle and the wheel, most ancient of symbols. Success in bringing about change in the world. I know I completely skipped because of the horses. I skipped because of the horses. 10 of Swords. It is somehow appropriate that death rides on the pale-colored horse. His sight separates the gross from the sublime, removing from you that which binds and setting you free, be it in body, life, in thought, understanding, or consciousness. This is about freedom from mental prisons. You know, because, you know, that is what the swords are about, is the mind. And it's that cutting free from the prisons that we're in, the death of ego, the death of ignorance. You know, that's my understanding of the 10 of Swords has become the death of something that needs to be let go of. It needs to be dead. And this very much goes along the lines with that. 10 of Cups, memento vivere, remember to live. We recognize that we possess a divine spark from God inside us, but is it possible that we also have a small piece of the abyss? Changing fortunes in the matter of the heart, relationships, loves, and emotions. Because everything is temporary, appreciate what is important. Carpe diem. Yeah, I love the tens in this deck. Here, and I've heard that she does an absolutely look at that page of discs. Oh! I've heard that the court cards are stunning in this deck, and from the pages I can attest to that already. So she kind of goes through each of them, but she also talks about the pages as being initiators. The knights are on a quest. The queens are creating an environment. And then the kings are mastering the environment. So we have the initiators here. Here we have Joan of Arc. The Page of Swords is tattooed with a red Chinese dragon. She's proven her strength and ferocity to be worthy of wearing the dragon. Good luck, prosperity, auspicious power. I mean, it's stunning, stunning. Page of Cups. Your emotions and thoughts are like little ships set adrift on the ocean, affecting the whole of the ocean. Unconditional love, non-judgment, beautifulness. The Page of Discs. Having faith in the idea of being made for what you're doing. You are made for what you are, who you are. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous pages. And here we have the knights. These are on a quest. The Knight of Wands is on a quest for spirit. He is on a quest for the mind. He's on the quest for the heart. And he is on a quest for what is physical. Just like in the pages, we have the initiators of spirit, initiators of mind, heart, and body. I mean, come on. Just kill me now. Take care to use the energy and power for good rather than something malignant. Here we have the Knight of Swords, search or quest for knowledge. The Knight of Cups. We have the idea of searching for matters of the heart. You can see that kind of grail quest feel. And then the Knight of Discs, we have the young Buddha here. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. She goes into quite a bit about the Buddha there. And this is about not looking outside for an answer to the problem, but looking within. Really? Really, I'm not kidding here. This is craziness. And I know that, look at the queens. I mean, oops, I took too many. I took too many in my excitement. This is my favorite Queen of Swords ever. It's another reason why I had to have the deck. And I have got to wrap this up because it's about time for live chat. So the queens are about creating an environment of spirit, growth, change. You have that very much of creative, fertile energy here. She looks like one of the fertility goddesses that you see. This is creating an environment of the mind, of the heart, and of a safe physical environment. So the queens, this is very much shaman, witch, powerful shapeshifter. The Queen of Swords is very much, so we have Hugin and Munin, the eyes of Odin. The face of the Queen of Swords is here in the landscape. She is everything, and each one communicating and experiencing each other in states just amazing. An environment with intellectual integrity and truth where you can develop ideas and gather knowledge and share them. I mean, just get the deck, read the book. I want to say that over and over again. The Queen of Cups is the Holy Grail. So if we have the Knight of Cups who is on the search for the Grail, the Queen of Cups is the Grail, the reservoir of our container of all of our subconscious and ancestral wisdom. She is the dark waters of the abyss, the box of Pandora. And then very, very deep down is the place for hope, the pearl here. Stunning, 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 stunning. The Queen of Discs, we have talking about Hathor. This is about the goddess of all women, gardening, culture, organizing, nurturing. I mean, I cannot even hardly stand the court cards. They're just stunning. So then the kings are about mastering their environment, mastering the spirit, mastering the mind, mastering the heart, and mastering the body. So this is an image of Shamash, who is a sun god, whose main attribute was righteousness and justice. So this is about mastering your own energy, soul, spirituality, and creativity. The King of Swords, this is Reason, the charioteer who rises above the nature of the sun and the moon. And this is about taking, mastering the mind, controlling your thoughts, so on and so forth. The King of Cups, of course, we have Poseidon, and this is mastering your subconscious, knowing the self, not enough to not be a slave of it. The King of Discs. As I point. Yes, there are male genitalia here, but we have a very interesting story about Atum, although I also think of this sort of Pan idea, but this is quite interesting to read. I won't read because it's a little bit interesting and graphic, but this is about being the master of life, living, and physical existence, kind of taking responsibility for your body, for your sexuality, for your lusts, all of that physicality of life. And that is that. I just think that the court cards are absolutely divine. The majors are absolutely, everything about it is amazing. You just have to think of it in context of, you really have to think of this deck as context of being, the sole purpose is about going into the abyss. Okay, so I want to, of course, try one of the readings in the back of the book, and so I'm going to definitely try the past life spread, because how fun is that? They do have a yes and no using numbers, which is quite interesting there. This relationship spread looks really interesting also. And as well as this pyramid spread, although I think with these cards you would need quite the space in able to do that. But we might have to take a peek a leak. peek at that. But for right now, let's just take a peek at the past life spread, which is a 5 card, which I think by itself is going to be difficult to, I want to get a good shuffle on these. So let me, see, these are about the size of an oracle card. So I can shuffle them okay when they're split up. But because the deck is so thick, it becomes a little more difficult to just split the deck in half. I try it though. I mean, I have to just be very careful. So I definitely like the kind of, at least I have another deck that's like that, where I need to split it in half and then shuffle it and then shuffle it together. I think actually the Fairy Tarot was like that. I really probably should not rifle this deck because of the laminate. But I just, you know, I want a good shuffle. That's just how I am. And, you know, if I love this deck as much as I feel like I'm going to, I will probably pick up a second one and put it away. Because, you know, for $20 or so, I don't want this to go out of print or something. If it's a deck that I feel like could get messed up. But I like the thin factor a lot. I'm just concerned about the laminate. So, we're looking at who I am in a past life. So the first card in the middle is about who I am. I would specify that this is the most significant past life. That's how I do readings as well. The one that has the most bearing and effect on who you are now and the life you have now. You could also specify the oldest or the most current, but I do tend to, when I do past life readings, have them be the one that's most impactful on this current life. And here we have the Ace of Wands. Now, because obviously this is a new deck to me, I am going to, okay, we have to see now, I am going to be looking this up. Ace of Wands is bestowed with the hawk wings of the sun, remember. Pure, untamed energy and libido, creative potential, divine spark, initiative, inertia, creative energy available. So yeah, lots of creative energy apparently. Very creative. You can even just see that fire coming out of the palms. I think it's quite interesting, this kind of blocking the face when you can see the face of all the other ones. We also have interesting kind of patterns almost carved into the leg, and I also do like the that kind of spark in the belly feel of this, so that's quite interesting. Oops, I guess I should have the, who was it? What was my pleasure? What gave me the greatest pleasure in this life, and what was your greatest love and joy? So this is card number 2. Ooh, I love this card. So this is the Chariot. So obviously I was very much needing to be in control, which doesn't surprise me because that is the case in this life. This is a glyph, or this card is a glyph or a map of the soul, which I think is wonderful. 7s have always been a magical, shamanistically profound number. It's the number of wandering planets visible to the naked eye. Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and so on and so forth. It is the magnus opus, the applying of knowledge, the control over my own life, having free will. That's what was most important, which leads me to wonder if I didn't have free will, which is why it was so important to me. You know how that saying goes, if you have it, you know, it's probably not as important to you because you just don't know you don't have it. What was my disappointment, my biggest disappointment? My greatest fear or tragedies. This is number 3 over here. Here's the Queen of Cups, so that leads me to believe it has to do with relationships. Remember that the queens in this deck are the creating of an environment of a relationship. So that whole environment of a loving relationship was most likely not there, was most likely missing. I had a tragic past life relationship. And it's the one that has the biggest impact on me today, which is also interesting with the kind of control thing. But this, I have some, I've done obviously some work for myself. So I have a pretty good idea about this, but that's pretty spot on from what I understand of my most influential past life. Unfinished business. What went unfinished in the past life that is affecting my life now? And here we have this Four of Swords. Now, if you remember, the Four of Swords was one that I wasn't entirely getting a handle on what this card was trying to get across in this deck. So I may pause this and come back. I'm going to read the whole Four of Swords to see if we can get a better handle on what this is showing us here. Okay, so I read the chapter on this because this was, to me, a complicated image for the Four of Swords. And I think it was a complicated for her as well, because she kind of has to work her way away from some basic ideas and to what she was trying to get across here. What we have is a storm that has occurred, and we have lightning coming down and striking here. And so she goes through a lot of description about fours and masculine gender and impregnation. So there is a lot in mythology of male parts being cast into the earth or cast into the water or cast into various places and impregnating basically that energy into whatever it's cast into, and life coming from this. She talks about Osiris, she talks about Kronos, she talks about Zeus. So various times in which we see this idea that lightning being the semen, sort of, so to speak, that impregnates what it strikes. So that kind of idea of this. And the earth being the womb where it's going to grow. So we have, if we think about air and energy and electricity, that's all coming up from the air and the mind and the intellect. And when it strikes the earth, it sets what she talks about, one of the myths, it goes down, plunges down into the earth, and he leaves golden nuggets, which you can mine out as gold, when miners go in and mine gold. And so the idea is that when the lightning strikes, so let's see, so when you stand in the desert of the Empress, the camel, the place where God is not, with the electricity of the storm pricking the hairs on the back of your neck and the hot wind caressing your skin, you are the earth, and God strikes his semen into it or into you, impregnating you with your soul, the nugget of gold. So there's now a nugget of gold deep within us, which from here you forever work to mine from the black rock of yourself. So from this fertilization of the you, then it starts to go through and all the way up to the star and taking hope. So this is about implanting an idea, implanting a mental thought, a mental understanding that you are going to forever be mining over the rest of your life to figure out. So that's quite interesting. Now, the question or the position here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, is unfinished business. So clearly, whatever was started, whatever this idea of the mining of the self, because this would be, and it does talk a lot in this section about the understanding that time is a very fluid thing, that what happens to you right here and now is also happening in mythology right here and now, as well as back then, and all, you know, it's all happening now on various different levels and in various different time frames, which works quite obviously beautifully with the idea of past lives, because we're going across lifetimes of trying to work through certain things. And so there is that idea of an implanting of knowledge, there was an implanting of understanding, there's a nugget of who I am that was planted deep within me. And there is that drive to dig it out, to constantly be working at mining from that, that I did not finish in this last particular life that impacts my life now. And so that is something that I will always be probably striving to mine in this life, because I have that sense of feeling like that was not finished, that wasn't complete. So that's quite interesting. Which I know I say a lot, but it is interesting, something to chew on. The last one is advice. What would your past life like to tell you now in the present? What does it want you to pay attention to, keep in mind, work towards? This is a message from your past life. And here we have the Lover's card. How beautiful is that? I mean, this is beautiful for past life readings, if you want to know the truth. I'm going to look because, again, the Lovers' card is about the wedding the opposites of men and women, energies, ideas, parts of the self, which makes sense in terms of this card. It goes into talking about, there's a lot of talk about the tree of life here. I don't know a great deal about, I have a basic understanding of the tree of life. I would like that at the beginning, maybe they're having an image of the tree of life and a basic understanding of, you know, just like a basic layout of the tree of life to refer to. So that's something I will need to put with this book. Because I don't really see that. Now again, I haven't read it from cover to cover, but I'm not seeing that. And I think that that would be quite helpful with this. I know that Benabel Wen recently videotaped a review, or not videotaped. She wrote a review of a Tree of Life deck that is just a learning deck, but she thought it was quite helpful. So that's something that I might need to take a look at. But regardless, so it talks about love being the glue that binds everything together. This is about joining together. This is about inclusion. This is about a marriage of two things. You can see the yin and yang sign that's going on. And what's interesting is that I would say the idea of balance, although this isn't directly about balance, but the yin and the yang and the opposing forces working together, that whole idea, as you know, you visually can see that. And you actually also have a beautiful image here at the top, almost like a, you know, a mother image that's looking down. It's quite lovely. So it talks about how on the Kabbalistic tree of life, the sixth Sephiroth, Tiphereth, is the very center of the tree, and it means peace, beauty, and harmony, and is usually thought of as the sun. It is so bright and warming, and we can see this bright around it. Everything is connected to the center structure, and it radiates its energy out to the other Sephiroth. It is sometimes cautioned that from the lower Sephiroth, which is where consciousness usually lies, this can appear to be God, and one shouldn't be mistaken by that. So that's quite interesting. She says, I would say that each Sephiroth is God, and the whole of the tree of life is God's body, including all of us and everything else that exists. Tiphereth as love, harmony, perfection, beauty is the attractive force in the energy and the universe. It goes on and talks about that. So love is coagula where hate is solved. Love is coagula where hate is solved, to separate, repel, and take apart. Love is the center, and love is divine, and love is the glue that holds everything together. So again, it's about finding balance. It's about inclusion. It's that sense of belonging. You know, So when you sometimes have that feeling where you never feel like you belong, that you're not really here, if that's the advice, is to find that in this life, I would say that that's probably something that was missing in the past life. So very, 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 very interesting to me. I think that this is a beautiful deck for this kind of work. You know, not for directly saying, okay, yes, you are the Queen of Sheba, but for getting at the emotional ramifications and pulling those things forward so that we can work on them. I think that there is a lot to be gained from this particular deck in this way. Now, we will take a quick look at a 3 card that this uses almost as a daily spread, I think is how it was put forth. So let's see what we get. So we have within, without, and advice for the day. I love the Page of Wands. That's Joan of Arc. So we have 2 wands and then a disc. So we definitely have a lot of creative energy that's going to be going on. Of course, this is the end of the day, so it's a little bit, I should just be better for obviously the for tomorrow, but we'll just look at it. What's going on for me today? Thoughts, desires, and feelings, and things like that. So your overall internal experience of the day is the 7 of discs. So let's take a look at the 7s. This is Moonin. This is the idea of memory, which is quite appropriate. But this is about becoming your own the architect and the artist of your own destiny. This is about creating a unique life to your highest potential based on my unique skills and gifts. That's quite appropriate because I've been working today pretty much all on truth and story and being the architect of where I want to go and where I want to be and how I want to express myself. So I think that this is very appropriate, what drives me forward is that desire to create myself, because it's interesting how we have the pieces of, you know, ourselves, the pieces of our chart, of our birth chart. These are the pieces, these are the things that we have inside of us to draw from birth. And so I think that that's really quite beautiful. Then without, what's going on around me, we have the 4 of Wands. And this is a card that is about creativity and passion. Again, we've got a lot of passion and creativity and this kind of thing going on, and that's what's surrounding me. That's true because, you know, we had live chat with everybody, just, you know, that lots of energy, talking about creative energy. Is that sort of just really, so you're looking, it's rooted and it's grounded, but it is flaming and on fire. And then after the chat with everybody, you know, there's so high energy with that. I had a Skype session with another person really trying to sink into the tarot and the imagery, but wanting to really sink into it in that creative fashion. So this definitely reflected, again, my day internally and externally. And then some advice is from the Page of Wands. And I had wanted to sit with this and read with this a little bit more anyway, so I'm glad that this one came up. So let's find the pages, which are the initiators. So this is going to be the initiator of spirit. She uses spirit which is interesting, and I think appropriate for the transformative energy of the wands. And here, people who have belief will always be stronger than those who do not. This was inspired by Joan of Arc and represents the great things that can be done when one is moved by faith and acts on what they were divinely inspired to do. Every person is born with a purpose in life, some large, some small, but who are we to judge these things as large and small? And when you follow the bliss, you can tell she loves Joseph Campbell, that you were meant for, you will be moving with the current of the universe universe and will be able to achieve the seemingly impossible and miraculous. I fully believe that. Ever since I read Joseph Campbell's work years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago, that idea of following your bliss, and if you're making choices and decisions that move you in sync with your bliss, you're going to be moving in the right direction no matter what. So I love that advice, is to stay with my bliss. Stay with it, what inspires me, stay with what I have enthusiasm, and make sure that I'm putting my heart and my faith, the idea of faith, into it, even though it may not be. She does talk in this book a lot about God, archangels, and things like that, because she is basing it heavily on the Tree of Life and the original understanding, like of the Marseille deck, the Thoth deck. Those were steeped in Christian ideology, so that is going to be there. That doesn't hamper me from working with it, because the deck itself feels extremely shamanistic. It really does give me that feel of working with the energy of, say, the Way of Weird, with that kind of idea of Celtic shamanism that I'm very attracted to. So I think this is beautiful. I am so in love with this deck. I am going to be doing some readings with this like I have been doing with new decks, but I probably am not going to be taking straight up questions with it yet. I think it will be much more along the lines of, I made you, that idea of what to let go of, what to hold on to, and how to move forward, kind of things, because I just feel like that's kind of the energy I want to work with this particular deck versus, some more straight up practical questions, which I love to do, but I feel like this deck might just serve to go a little bit deeper than that. But I would also like to see how it does with just, typical any question anybody's going to ask. So I'm definitely going to be, you can already see now, this is what Benabel even pointed out in hers. You can see a little bubble there where the laminate is, and so that's my issue with laminate, heavy laminate like this. I know that in theory it's supposed to make the cards last longer, but yeah, I'm not fond of it. But because this deck is so gorgeous, I'm going to put up with it. And again, if I end up finding this deck is just as powerful as I think that it is, then it is one that I will purchase a backup. I wish that this would be republished with a gorgeous matte stock, but as they say, if wishes were fishes. So this has been a look at the stunning Marielle Tarot. You will definitely be seeing this again in, I'm sure, other videos as I work my way through the book and just using it. So I'm sure that you will see more of this. If you have anything specific questions on this deck that you want me to look into, make sure you leave those in the comment box below, and I'll try to make sure I address those things. So thank you for yet again, this is an extra long one, but thank you for sticking with me.